Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to this week's transformation recap. It's been a very long time since I've posted anything in here, and today marks the start of a brand new chapter. And so if you've been with me since the early days of my channel, you know it used to be about real estate, investing, passive income, and entrepreneurship. And while those things are still important to me, my life has shifted a lot over the last few years, and it didn't feel aligned to keep posting about real estate and all those things, as great as they are. So this is my official rebrand into Heart, Health, and Hustle. And it is my commitment to share with you what I learn along the way and share every bit of the journey, whether that's healing physically, spiritually, financially, and emotionally, to transforming in my mind, body, spirit, and business. Plus, the legacy that I hope to inspire through leadership development in myself and, of course, others. Now, of course, I can't forget the messy middle that nobody really talks about. My aim is to shed light on what really happens behind transformation, behind the curtain, whether that's the ups, the downs, and everything in between. And obviously, I'm not an editing expert, so quick apology in advance because I don't have time to dedicate hours on end to that. Maybe one day I'll hire it out like I used to, but for now, it's just going to be me doing the best that I can do, which is obviously just like in life. So, anyways, guys, let's get right into it. What this week has taught me, and starting with the first part of the lesson, which is the heart lesson. Now, faith without evidence. That's a topic I want to talk about today. And as the time of this recording, it's Sunday, so naturally that was the sermon today. It was all about faith. And that's the biggest reminder I've had the past few weeks. So I'm in a leadership program for the next few more weeks. It's been about 4 months I've been in this leadership program. And what I've come to find out is that faith is declaring without evidence. And obviously, number one is our identities must be aligned with our true authentic selves. And what I find is when you have your identity aligned, when you really know who you are at your heart core, that everything else just pretty much falls into place. Almost in osmosis, if you think about it like that. Obviously, you got to put work in. Now, why am I a fan of being an entrepreneur? Because as an entrepreneur, it goes hand in hand with faith, because obviously, both entrepreneurship and faith, whether that's spiritual faith or just faith in life and anything, require belief long before the results really begin to show. So, um, today, the sermon really talked a lot about that. And it was all about the power of the words we speak over ourselves. And what's crazy about that is I've been celebrating my journey into affirmations. So I'd like to know, do you have a personal practice on affirmations? I learned about when I was first starting real estate, and I think I started writing them out. I found that really annoying. I'm really glad I did it anyways. But what has helped me is I recorded it in my own voice, positive affirmations in present tense. So there's an app that I use. It's called ThinkUp. There's tons of apps out there. If you want to take advantage of that practice, I recommend it. Or if you want a free version on your phone, you can use the Notes app or the voice memo app. However, notice aside from that, I do recommend ThinkUp because it makes your life easier, which is the whole point. And so I have been listening to my affirmations um, pretty much, I think that's 3 years straight. Obviously, there was some days I missed along the way. But since I started using ThinkUp, another reason why I'm a big fan of ThinkUp is because you can track how many minutes and days. Right now, I'm on a 120-day streak, which is pretty amazing. I'm really excited about that. That's a little bit over 22,000 minutes of listening to my own affirmations. And I think as soon as you miss a day, though, it breaks the streak. So I have a feeling it was longer than that. But that has been pivotal, is get your identity aligned with who you are at your core, right? Positive affirmations, and you get to pretty much design that. And if you're a person of faith, then obviously I believe it comes together. Now, with that being said, you also get to make declarations throughout the day. And so I'm not going to get into that for this video, but um, that's pretty much how I start my mornings. So it's my habits are this morning affirmations, right? And actually, I think I have it right here on my phone. Let me just show you. So I have the ThinkUp app, and I love, let's see if you can even, if it pulls it up on the camera, you can, different sunsets or whatever, and it's all recorded. You can categorize it, whether it's spiritual, romance, business, etc. But first thing I do when I open my eyes, I pop my headphones in and I start listening to it while I get ready for the day. and I have some caffeine. Okay, that is literally how I start my mornings and helps me to stay grounded before the world starts pulling at me. Okay, because I'm not a parent yet. However, I can only imagine what that must feel like. Okay, so what this week reminded me of once again is that we get to nurture the seeds that we plant, right? And it's about consistency. So just like me going to the gym with my fitness journey, right? It's not just like I go to the gym once and call it a day, right? Every single day that I do some movement, exercise, whatever, that's a consistency until eventually it's going to start to sprout. And so kind of like the story of the bamboo. That's a story I've been sharing with a lot of people lately. If you don't know it, you should look it up. The bamboo story. Les Brown shares this, and tons of other people. But you could nurture something for months, for days, for weeks, even for years, and not see any evidence that what you're doing is working. But in the case of the bamboo story, it took 3 years until it eventually broke ground or something like that. So where in your life might there be a lag effect? Okay. And so that's why faith is pivotal. And that's the heart-centered lesson I had these past 7 days. Just a reminder. Now, moving on to the next lesson about health, right? Now, something that may not be obvious is the importance of accountability and community, which I find to be a great pillar to all the things I'm going to talk about. But let's focus on health right now. And so this was my first full week check-in since I launched my 90-day physique transformation challenge, which was technically February 15th, where I started it because I got back from my cruise then. Perfect timing, right? And guys, it was pretty tough, okay? Because had it not been for accountability of the coaching that I'm receiving in my program, as well as the community I'm developing, mostly online, obviously, I could have easily just given up on myself these past few days. Luckily, in this current workout regimen right now, I'm only going to the gym to lift 3 days a week, and then 5 days of cardio. It's like 20 minutes, whatever, elliptical. Get to watch some Netflix while I do that. But as simple as that is, 20 minutes on elliptical, it's easy to just not go to the gym. And so, what I have found to be pivotal to my health journey is having accountability, because it is a reminder, it's a framework for holding my commitments, right? And for kind of a higher purpose on my why, right? Which I talked about yesterday on my live, right? When you find your why, you find your way. And so, if you are struggling with getting on track, especially with health goals, because it can be easy to give up on ourselves, right? I encourage you to reach out to somebody for accountability, or maybe hire somebody, right? Why not? Life is short. Okay. And so getting back to that, a few days ago, like I said, it was a struggle, and the week was already ending. And so obviously, I didn't have other days to choose from to squeeze in my third lifting day. So it was like, hey, it's only 90 days. I get to do this, right? So I dragged my butt to the gym anyway. That's the whole point of the story. And so I'm really glad. And I did film that yesterday. If you want to check out my lives, my goal is I'm going to be doing those walk-in wisdoms daily, where I share some of that vulnerability with you. And so if you didn't know, my goal in this 90-day physique transformation challenge is visible abs, right? I've always been fairly athletic, somewhat fit, but I've never had visible abs. Now, of course, I'd love a 6-pack, but if it was a 2-pack or 4-pack, I'd be pretty excited about that. And so, in a moment, I'll share my screen and maybe get a little vulnerable with you guys on some before and after. Obviously, this is just a weekend, okay? So, like, no abs just yet, but I do see some evidence of them forming. And so let's actually pull that up right now. Let me just pause this so I can find my, let's see, pause. All right, here we are, we're back. So just really quickly, you can see this Loom video that my coach, Evan, sent to me. So you can see that's just from, I don't know, February 17th or something like that. So this is just like a week apart, not very long from each other. And you can see a little bit of some, some definition starting to peek through a little bit there. Now check out this side, guys. This is me being super vulnerable. Okay, so but you can see this is the side angle. Obviously, this different side, but let's see if we can get, even that's exactly what my coach was saying, was like, take a look. Like you can see from this to this, you can see a little bit of that definition. So, hey guys, I'm excited. That just goes to show that, I'm staying in it. And before I know it, it's going to be six pack abs. No, I'm just kidding, right? But possibly. We'll see about that. Now let me just close this so I can find myself. One second. Okay, where were we? So I was talking about the vulnerable before and after right there. But you guys, sorry if this is like super choppy. Sorry, not sorry, because I don't have time to edit this. And I'd rather just get it out there. My whole goal in this 90 days is I'm just documenting. And so I figured, hey, I wanted to share some of the insights. I am documenting a lot of the behind the scenes, like things that I will probably need to hire somebody to edit. So hey, if you're good at that kind of thing, reach out to me. Otherwise, I'll probably go on Fiverr or something and get some help with that. Because that'd be super cool if I can add things from the past 7 days into this video, but that just sounds stressful to figure out right now on my own. So, okay, almost done, guys. Last but not least, I want to talk about my hustle lesson, right? Hence my brand, Heart, Health, and Hustle. So hustle is all about the entrepreneur journey. It's about the business, right? Also just the day in and day out, the grind. Okay. And so obviously the past 7 days have been a stretch for me because in addition to my 90-day physique transformation challenge to get visible abs, I have also declared a 90-day run in my business. If that's something you want to know more about, I'm not going to really talk too much in detail about my business here on this channel, at least not right now. I'm in the pre-launch of that. So now it's March as of the time of this recording. And so what I've been doing to get the word out there about my business is I've been doing a ton of networking. I've been networking my face off, right? My mentor always says it's everything all the time, every day. Okay. And so it being my first week, I haven't been like as intense that I know I can be. So I'm ramping up to it. But I do want to celebrate myself because if you know anything about being self-employed, about being an entrepreneur, there's so many things we can get busy with, like checking emails and text messages, social media, which are important for the business, but are not income producing activities. IPA, drop it in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. IPA, income producing activities. And we can fall victim to that. It's really easy to say, oh, no, I've been in my business, but we didn't talk to any potential new customers, or if you build a team like me, potential new business partners, right? So what are some business building activities? And so there is an app, again, here with apps. Maybe I'll talk about it later. Let me know, drop in the comments if you'd like to know my tech hacks. There is an app that I kind of treat myself like an employee. And so I track when I'm on calls with prospects, when I'm out there networking, doing different business building activities. And in the average past 7 days was 6 hours and 59 minutes. We'll just call it 7 hours daily. Okay, Monday through Friday. And so I'm taking Sundays off. Okay. Saturdays I do work, but it's mostly training in our business. But mostly the income producing activities I'm allocating definitely Monday through Friday. My goal is to bring that up to 12 hours of income producing activities a day between the hours of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Still prioritizing my health and fitness and my other goals as well. And of course, family time and faith. Okay. And so maybe this inspires you. If it does, let me know, put it in the comments. Okay. But number one is I've been figuring out how to build my business online for years. Okay. One thing that's been a weakness of mine that I've been honing in on in this transformation challenge is building more of a local community, getting out there like boots on the ground, face to face, belly to belly. And so that's why I joined some business networking groups. And so in the past 7 days, I visited 3 different groups. One of them is one I visit weekly already, B&I, if you're familiar. Met so many great people, got some one-on-ones already set up for the week, and excited to see where that goes from there. Okay. Now, if you didn't know this, also why that's something I want to celebrate is because my husband, Felipe, and we actually share a vehicle. So in order to go anywhere, it's like playing Tetris with our schedules. There's some days of the week I get the vehicle and some days that he pretty much gets it. So just to figure out who's going to get the car is a commitment. All right. But again, that's anything worth having always requires commitment. Okay. But if I'm somewhat of an introvert. Some people think I'm an extrovert. I am an extrovert, introvert, whatever. I usually these days I prefer pretty much to stay at home. Let's be honest. but I also like to be around people, in doses. And so networking takes courage, right? It's just like going to the gym. It's a muscle that we get to develop and practice. And of course, we get to rest from, just like going to the gym. So Sundays is my day where I unplug. I literally pretty much put my phone away. And so I'm proud of myself for showing up and networking, even when I didn't feel like I completely had it together. Like I don't even have business cards printed out, which is something I'm going to work on this coming week. And if I don't know, you might not even think it's worth having printed business cards these days. I do have a digital business card, but there are some people out there that just like to be handed something, especially if you meet them on the street. And in this 90-day run, I do want to be in a position to talk to complete strangers, where I might even just end up handing them a business card. Okay, so that is something that I'm going to be dialing in this coming week. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Now, talking about the 90-day run, some people listening to this would be like, oh my God, that's the recipe for burnout. Definitely, if it's something you do all the time. But this is just a 90-day front loading of work so that the rest of the year you have an opportunity. I don't want to say coast because you can never truly coast, but when you front load the energy, now there's momentum that you can start scaling much faster. Any business that has had massive success has always launched, just like an airplane, right? You got to put a lot of front loaded energy to really have that lift off, and then eventually you can be in cruise control. Used to be a flight attendant, it's a real thing, right? Now, something that I do want to say is if you are wanting to see the day in and day out stories I'm posting, right now I'm posting them on my Facebook stories and my Instagram. So if you want to follow me, I'd love that. I'm going to put it in the description. And eventually I'll find out how to have someone help me edit all that stuff and possibly end up posting those videos. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much the wrap up of the past 7 days. And going forward to the next 7 days, my intention is going to be basically simple, okay? To remain consistent on my business building activities, my 90-day run, to stay consistent with my macro tracking. That's the nutritional piece of my fitness transformation challenge. Also, 3 days a week in the gym, getting my cardio in. Oh, and steps. I forgot to say that 10,000 steps a day. And so I don't really know what's going to happen over the next 90 days, but all I do know is that I'm consistent and committed, right? That's what I commit to. And so in that process, obviously the destination is important, but it's all about the journey and who I get to become as a result. So I hope that somehow inspires something in you, whether you are looking to transform in some way in your life, maybe that's physically, financially, spiritually, or whatever. I'd love for you to follow along in my journey where I'm going to be documenting this on this channel. And so for now, I'm going to be posting these recaps Mondays, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then daily, I'm going to be posting live my walk-in wisdoms both on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm going to be aiming to do it. So I'm in Arizona. We have a crazy time zone, but that's probably going to be around 7:30 in the morning Arizona time. And that's kind of Pacific time. We'll see how that goes because that's like right after the gym. So I've got to be really dialed in and militant with my schedule. And then Sundays is when I do my weekly meal prep. And even if it's just something simple, my intention right now is I'll document it. Possibly I'll just even go live, right? Because if I go live, then I don't have to edit things. Even better, right? And then that's also takes more courage. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Hope to see you soon on another one of my videos. And once again, welcome to my channel where transformation becomes a lifestyle.